Hi, Felix here from Stride. So, look, I wanted to share with you the top three things you should definitely do before you start looking for a property. And look, before we want to get started, I just want to ask how many of you have played Monopoly or actually know the game? So, I love Monopoly. I grew up playing with it every single day with my cousins, and look, I still play it today with my kids. And look, how many of you used to, roll the dice and pray for those numbers? I'll do it all the time. I'll be praying, hoping that I'll land on Mayfair. And look, at one time I was playing, I needed two sixes to land on Mayfair. And I was just closing my eyes and I was just praying. And, heaven, thank you. I actually got the double six and I landed on Mayfair. Super excited, but one thing I forgot was I didn't check how much money I had. So I didn't check financially if I had the right amount of money to actually buy Mayfair. And if you know the rules of Monopoly, it's every property you land on, you have to purchase. If not, then it gets auctioned out to the rest of the players, including the banks. So look, the timing was perfect, but the finances just weren't there. And look, that comes back to one of the questions like I see every single day, and especially a lot of first home buyers or people not so experienced in the market. They always ask, when is it the best time to buy? And I always go back to what I say. It shouldn't purely be dependent on the timing of the market, but more so the timing of your finances and lifestyle situation. So hey, look, let's get started. And I just want to really share these tips with you. So the first tip that I would suggest before you even start looking for the property is have a very clear goal in mind in terms of what you want to buy. So, I always say to my clients, have a top three must-haves and get a really clear understanding in terms of what you want to buy, because that would lead you and give you clear focus in terms of what that property is to look like. So, your three must-haves might be, you want a three-bedroom brick house, or it needs to be within the school catchment, or it should be within 15 minutes of, the railway train line, or whatever it might be. But they should be the key foundations of the property that you're looking for. And then have a list of must likes, because look, everyone's going to want something that they like in a property, whether it be a swimming pool, a double story, a big kitchen, a butler's pantry, whatever it might be. Because it's always good to have a bit more. But by doing this is going to give you a very clear vision in terms of what that property needs to look like. And look, once you've done that, then it's about building the right team, having the right people around you to support you so that you're going to have the best possible chance of winning. So in my team, the people I have around me, the first one would be a broker or lender. So I've got a broker who understands my goals, who understands exactly what I'm looking for, whether it be an investment, whether it be a primary res, whether it be a first home purchase. They understand and they match the product according to what that purchase is going to look like today. Okay, but not only that, they understand what I want to do 5 years down the track or 10 years, because that product needs to line up with whatever we want to do later on. So, some investors I want to purchase today with, the flexibility of being able to refinance in 2 years' time. And so they need to set up a product that's going to allow that for later on. Look, the second thing is having a solicitor and a conveyancer on your team. Okay, look, this is mandatory. You definitely need a solicitor and conveyancer to vet the contract to ensure that all the legal aspect of purchasing property is right, and your best interest is looked after. I don't know if you saw, there was a news report recently where a gentleman had purchased a block of property in Marsden Park, and after living 6 years there, he had found out the block that he was living on wasn't actually the block he had purchased. The block he had purchased was actually 2 blocks down, where there was just trees everywhere, and so the cost of then knocking down the trees was going to obviously eat into his budget, and obviously the house that he's looking to obviously build. So I'm not saying it was the solicitor's fault, but it's very important that the solicitor checks the titles, and it's very important that you then do your due diligence to ensure that that title on the actual contract lines up with the property you've actually gone to see. Okay, now the third person to have you on your team is a buyer's agent or an agent. So I work as a buyer's agent. My goal is to support my buyers and help them. So look, a buyer's agent has always had that stigma that it's only for the wealthy, and it's really expensive. And look, I've helped clients where they've purchased their first home on a $450,000 budget to clients with looking for water views up to about 6 million. So look, money isn't always the main driver. Okay, the reason why people engage in a buyer's agent is because they see the time value for money. They understand that a buyer's agent is going to be able to source more properties, provide more opportunities, but also use their skills to obviously shortlist, find the right properties, as well as do all the due diligence that is needed to ensure that you're making a comfortable and informative purchase. So don't let money be the factor. Like, I mean, for us, we charge a fixed fee. So, our client's best interest at heart. We're always, focus more on the client as opposed to what a commission could be. And then look, a selling agent's also good. You can use a selling agent to work on your side. So, if you build a good rapport, they can obviously put opportunities in front of you, whether it be on market or off market. But there's certain tactics or ways in which you can get a selling agent to work for your benefit. And look, happy to share that if you want to find out more. The fourth person you should have on your team is a good accountant. So an accountant that understands your financials and goal position. It's really important that your accountant also, understands property from not only a professional point of view, but they also have properties of their own, because if they have properties of their own, they can obviously know the best tax strategies to obviously help minimize tax, but also put you in the best possible position for later on. I met a client in the past where, we were looking to purchase an investment property for tax purposes. Obviously, he was on a higher income, looking at ways obviously reducing that, and his accountant was obviously looking after his best interest and said, okay, well, you've got a couple of assets as well. Let's put it in a trust structure to ensure that your assets are protected. But what he forgot to obviously inform, or what the accountant didn't obviously listen out for, was that this was also for a tax purposes point of view. And if you know a trust structure, so any losses can't be obviously transferred to other income. So if it's a property where there's depreciation or negative gearing, it's not going to benefit him. So, obviously we had enough time to then change the structure and make sure that he wasn't purchasing through a trust. So look, having those 4 key players surrounding you is paramount. You want these guys to support you. You want people you can leverage off to make sure that, you're having the best steps forward and you've got the right people to support you, so you're making the best decision when you're looking at buying that property. Now, the third step I always say you need to do is, once you've built your team, once you've got your finance, is the fun bit, which is going out there and finding that right property. Going out there and doing the search. And look, there are 3 key fundamentals which drives an economy. And I always go off this when I'm looking for, a particular property for a client, as long as they're brief and goals. So the 3 key main features or factors, fundamentals that people need to consider would be P for population and demographics, I for infrastructure and amenities, and E for employment. So what we found is that, if these 3 fundamentals are met nearly every time, these suburbs typically would outperform the neighbouring suburbs, purely because if you think about from a population and a demographic point of view, like attract like. So if you're buying an area where there's a lot of professionals, a lot of disposable income, they're going to attract the same type of people. And so people are going to obviously spend more in the area, they're going to pay more for the prices. A clear example that I wanted to show you, and you can see here, is about amenities and school catchments. And they're one of the key things that I always look out for all my clients, is understanding where or which particular street has the best school catchment areas, which is going to give you the best possible outcome. Because look, at the end of the day, everyone wants their kids to go to the best possible schools. Okay, so look, in this example, you can clearly see 2 properties, okay, in Baulkham Hills. One falls within the Matthew Pearce catchment, and if you know Matthew Pearce, it's usually ranked in the top 2 New South Wales public school. Okay, so very sought after. And the second property, 4 streets down the road in Crestwood. Crestwood's still a great school within the top 100 of New South Wales, but same size block, very similar in terms of features of the property and age. But here you can see there's about $100,000 in disparity with regards to falling in a better school catchment or something that's a bit lower. So, when you are shopping around in a particular area, keep these 3 fundamentals in mind. And, school catchment's a huge thing, or being close to public transport and employment. They're all the key things that people look out for, because if you think about it, you just want to be able to walk to a station, or you want to be able to, ensure that, you've got the shortest route possible to get to work. So look, hopefully that's helped. The first, as I mentioned, top 3 things that you should look out for is, firstly, set some really clear goals so you have a good vision. Secondly, obviously build the right team. Have the A team around you supporting you all the way. And thirdly, when you're doing your due diligence, use those three key fundamentals to ensure that you're making sure you're making the best decisions possible moving forward. So, hey, look, I hope that advice has really helped. I'm going to obviously share a link with regards to a bit more on our services, but if you wanted to find out more and strategies in ways which we've been helping clients, definitely reach out, and thank you for watching.